Hi everyone, welcome to StatCrunch. My name is Helen and I'm going to give you an overview of StatCrunch. As you can see, I access StatCrunch at statcrunch.com. I signed in using my StatLab user ID and password right here. StatCrunch performs all of the functions that VStat and Excel perform. It's actually very agile. You can access it on your mobile devices, your tablets, your iPhones, and of course you can also access it on your PCs and your Macs. You can save files to StatCrunch and then access them anywhere that you're traveling or working. So it is very, very versatile. So I'm going to open StatCrunch. It's in the middle of the toolbar. Open StatCrunch. And here we are. And as you can see, it's very similar to Excel. You have cells, you have columns, you have rows. Now if we click on a column label, we can see that StatCrunch labels their columns variable 1, variable 2. Those are all categorical data. If you have a data set, do not put a numerical data into starting on that very first label because it won't be part of your calculation. Any numerical data starts at row 1. Now we can make a change. We can input just like we can in Excel. We can put in our own label and our own numbers like that. Now we can also load data. I'll just delete all of this data and then we'll load our own data in. So I'm going to go to Data, Load, from File on my computer. And I'll choose a file and I'm going to choose StatCrunch, Open. You have a little thumbnail, go all the way down and load your file. And there it is. So we have the data. Also, you can cut and paste data into StatCrunch. You can cut and paste data from a Word file. You can cut and paste data from an Excel file. You would right-click and copy data on an Excel or a Word file. When you paste it into StatCrunch, you have to use your keyboard. So if I were going to paste data into my StatCrunch into this particular column, I would press Control V as in Victor. So Control V because I have a PC and the data would populate out. Because if you have a Mac, then it's going to be Command V, Command Victor, and then it will populate. So that's very important. In addition, you can also load data from my StatLab. Directly from my StatLab. You can be working on a question, you can be working on a quiz, and just click on an icon and all the data will populate into StatCrunch and then you can solve your problem using StatCrunch. So here's a familiar problem. It's problem 1 from week 3, and in problem 1 we were analyzing histograms. Now as you can see over in this right-hand area, here is all of our data. So we'll click on this icon. It says Open in StatCrunch. I'm going to click that. And our data populate into StatCrunch. Let's take a look at our toolbars. As you can see, our toolbars are across the top, just like in Excel. They're more condensed because my StatLab focuses only on stat. So we have an edit function. And here we have cut and copy, and those are basically the keyboard strokes that I mentioned before. We have columns if we want to insert a column or delete. Let's say we want to delete this column. We would click on a cell in the column, press delete. The name of our column is VAR1. I click on the left-hand label of the column, and it populates into or moves into the right-hand side, and I click compute, and it's gone. Now, just like in Excel, I can undo that. So we'll move over to our data key. Again, we saw the load where we loaded the file. You can also sort here. You can do simulations. You can save. We'll save later. So in stat, we can calculate z-stats. We can create tables. T-stats, we can calculate proportion stats and confidence intervals, regression analysis, and ANOVA. We can also do summary stats. And in our graphs, we can do bar plots, pie charts, histograms, stem and leaf, box plots, scatter plots. This is the area where I think it's a lot faster. And that, is my personal preference. You may have other preferences, but I can create histograms and stem and leaves and box plots much, much faster in StatCrunch. So I usually do it whenever I can. So I'm going to perform summary statistics. I go to Stat, Summary Statistics. We have a column. Click on Column. Now here we see the column label, VAR1. I click on it. It moves over to the right-hand column from the left to the right. Now in this particular function, all of the summary statistics have already been migrated over to the right-hand column. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to pull this up just a little so you can see it. I'll click on Compute, and here we have our label. So you can see all of the summary statistics. Now you may want to copy those into an Excel or a Word. So I would select it, and then on my keyboard I will select Control C as in cat, and then I will click on Excel or click on Word, right click and select Paste. If you have a Mac, you're going to select Command C, and then you'll go into your Word or your Excel document, and it would be you could right click and then select Paste. Now what if we want to change our calculation? Option, Edit. We're back in. So what if I only want a mean and a standard deviation? I select mean, I push my Control key, I select standard deviation. I come down here to the bottom right-hand side and I select Compute. And here we have our mean and our standard deviation. Now I'm going to save it. Save it in StatCrunch. Options, Save. I'm going to call it Summary Stats 9. Save. Now do I want to view it? I can also mail it, but I probably just want to view it. And I'm in my results, and there it is. So if I ever want to access it, I go to My StatCrunch, My Results. And there you are. So I will be creating a second video that will perform some solutions to problems with histograms and some confidence intervals and maybe some basic math calculations. That will be in a second video. But this basically was just an overview. So if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask any of the tutors. We're certainly here to help you. So I look forward to working with you, and I'll see you in video 2.